My grandmother died on a Tuesday in November. The funeral was small, the will simple. The house on Crescent Lane went to me, her only grandchild. Everyone else in the family called it a burden. I called it a gift. The house was a narrow, three-story brick row home built in 1892 with tall windows, warped floors, and a hallway on the second floor that ran the full length of the building. At the far end of that hallway hung a mirror, floor to ceiling, gilt-framed, old glass, rippled like water. Grandma always kept it covered with a heavy burgundy cloth. "It's tired," she used to say when I was little and asked why. "Let it rest." I moved in 3 weeks after the funeral. The first few days were spent unpacking, scrubbing decades of dust, and discovering how much I liked the quiet. No neighbors sharing walls, no city noise bleeding through windows. Just the soft tick of the grandfather clock and the occasional groan of old wood settling. On the fourth night, I uncovered the mirror. I told myself it was practical. The cloth was dusty, moth-eaten, and the frame deserved to breathe. I folded the fabric, set it aside, and stepped back to look. The reflection was perfect. Too perfect. The hallway behind me stretched exactly as it should. Lamplight warm on the runner rug, doors closed on either side. But something felt off, like a photograph taken a fraction of a second before you smiled. I went to bed. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up thirsty. The house was silent, darker than I expected. I padded down the hall toward the bathroom, barefoot, eyes half closed. As I passed the mirror, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye. I stopped. My reflection was still walking. It continued past the point where I had stopped, heading toward the far end of the hall, where there was only a blank wall in reality. The figure, me, but not me, kept going until it reached the glass, pressed its palms against the inside of the mirror, and stared out. I backed away. The reflection did not. It stayed there, hands flat on the surface, watching me retreat. I slept on the sofa downstairs that night, every light in the house burning. The next morning, the mirror showed nothing unusual. Just me, bleary-eyed, making coffee in the reflection of the kitchen window. I almost convinced myself I'd dreamed it. Almost. That evening, I covered the mirror again. I even dragged a bookshelf in front of it for good measure. Childish, maybe, but the house felt safer with it hidden. 2 nights later, I heard footsteps overhead. Slow, deliberate steps crossing the third-floor attic directly above my bedroom. Back and forth, pausing, then continuing. The attic had been empty when I inspected it. Bare bulbs, cobwebs, a single cracked trunk containing yellowed letters and mothballs. No furniture heavy enough to make that sound. I lay frozen, listening until the steps stopped right above my head. Then silence. In the morning, there were wet prints on the hallway floor. Bare feet, small, leading from the top of the stairs to the covered mirror and back again. The prints were cold to the touch and smelled faintly of pond water. I called a locksmith and had every door fitted with new deadbolts. I told myself it was for security. Really, I just wanted more locks between me and whatever was walking my house at night. On the 7th night, the power went out. No storm, no flickering, just darkness swallowing every room at once. My phone flashlight revealed the burgundy cloth on the floor, the bookshelf pushed aside. The mirror stood exposed. In its surface, the hallway was lit by candlelight that did not exist in my world. Dozens of candles in sconces I had never seen lined the walls, and figures stood along the runner, pale, translucent people in old-fashioned clothes, faces turned toward me, waiting. At the front of the group was my grandmother, younger than I'd ever known her, maybe 30, wearing the same burgundy cloth as a shawl. She raised one hand and beckoned. Behind me, in the real hallway, I heard breathing. I turned. Nothing. When I looked back at the mirror, the crowd had parted. A path led straight to the glass. My grandmother stepped forward until her face filled the frame. "Come home, darling," she said, voice soft, exactly as I remembered it from childhood stories. "We've been waiting so long." I backed away. My heel hit something soft. I looked down. The burgundy cloth lay at my feet, soaked through, dripping dark water that spread across the floorboards like blood. The breathing behind me was closer now, warm against my neck. I ran. Down the stairs, through the front door, into the street, still wearing pajamas and bare feet. I didn't stop until I reached the corner gas station, pounding on the glass until the night clerk let me in. I never went back for my things. The house sold 6 months later to a young couple expecting their first child. They uncovered the mirror on their 3rd day, excited to restore its antique beauty.